Now here in Kenya, the Leather Apex Society has been formally launched in the capital, Nairobi. The platform aims at promoting enhanced productivity and the global competitiveness of Kenya's leather subsector. Now, the subsector has been slow in the uptake of available opportunities, of course, due to limited linkages amongst other challenges. Let's break down Kenya's leather industry further with the founder and Secretary General of the Leather Apex Society, of Kenya, Beatrice Mwasi. Thank you so much for joining us in the studio.
Thank you for having me.
Now let's start with a look at Kenya's leather industry. We know, though it is one of Africa's largest livestock holders, the sector is worth just about $500 million US dollars annually. Over 90% of its exports are unfinished leather. So give me a sense of why Kenya's leather sector is not competitive in the global landscape or even on the continent today.
Yeah, thank you very much. Now, the manufacturing sector actually, as you can see, in the country is not competitive. And among the sub-sectors under manufacturing is leather. And one of the greatest impediment to competitiveness of the leather industry is the fact that we have a very weak support industry base. You know, these are the suppliers of components that we require to be able to produce leather goods. And because of that, so we do not have accessories that we require. We do not have, let's say, those ones who are in footwear, do not have soles, for example, so we don't have manufacturers of soles. So if we don't have manufacturers of soles, then it makes it difficult for the manufacturers to be able to come up with competitive products. So quality has been such a big impediment. So without being able to attain required quality standards, becomes difficult for us to be able to access markets globally. And I said quality compromise because of accessories, because of, you know, like all the inputs that we require to power industry, and also we really also are limited in terms of technology and skills that will therefore be able to power quality. We are also limited in terms of capacity to produce large quantities, and this is mainly because most of our players are small scale entrepreneurs. About 63% of our players in the leather industry are SMEs. And because of that, then we do not enjoy economies of scale. Now, that impacts on price. So we have products done here, but then let's say, for example, a pair of shoes done in Kenya is more expensive than one which is done in Ethiopia. So because of that, then you fail again to do what? To compete. But you see now, competitiveness and volumes are things that we can address if we are able to set systems that can allow value addition. As it were today, 95% of the leather we generate in the country is truly shipped out in form of semi-processed. That is about 89% in wet blue, and about 5% is going out of the country in raw form. So that basically tells us we are not adding value. So if we are supplying out our raw material in form of semi-processed, we are actually gaining value only twofold. But if we were to able to optimize up to finished goods, we will multiply that value 12-fold. So we are challenged in terms of technology, knowledge, skills, and inputs that we require to come up with quality products.
Now, as you mentioned, a key setback in the sector is the fact that it is quite fragmented in terms of structure. The local leather industry it's also facing limited linkages and as well as strategy between stakeholders. So give us a sense of what this Leather Apex event was meant to achieve in bringing all of these different structures under one umbrella.
Yeah, actually today we were celebrating the launch, the formal launch of Leather Apex Society, and this umbrella was formed specifically to address the efficiency challenge within industry. Now, efficiency challenge basically brought about by the fact that we are highly fragmented as an industry, whereby we have various players along the value chain, from animal husbandry at the farm right to manufacturers and marketers of leather goods. So because of this kind of fragmentation, then we are not able to optimize the value chain. I've told you about the challenge we're experiencing in terms of supply of inputs. That challenge can be addressed if we are able to consolidate, purchase and importation of these accessories that we require to power the industry. But because you see each individual entrepreneur and individual associations are operating in solitude, we are not able now to do the bulk purchasing that will then now reduce cost. Right. But then also even between players, both backward and forward linkages are weak, and because of that, really, as I said, we can't compete out of the fact of production costs and being less productive in comparison to other leather industries in other countries.
Other markets, such as Ethiopia. Well, unfortunately, we have to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us in the studio.
Okay.
Of course, that was the Secretary General of the Leather Apex Society of Kenya, Miss Beatrice Mwasi.